What is happening in the Calgary real estate market today? I'm here to bring you the September 2020 market update, and what I'm going to go over is my analyses on the sales volume, inventory, and what pricing is doing. Make sure you stay until the end because I'll be providing specific advice for buyers, sellers, and investors. If you're new here, my name is Jasmine Lai with the LiveInnerCity real estate team, and make sure you lightly tap that subscribe button and notification bell so you'll be notified of our weekly videos on mortgage and real estate tips. Also, we're now dropping monthly market updates for you so you can stay up to date on what is happening in the Calgary real estate market. Sales volume, which is one of the strongest indicators of the current strength of our market. If we look at sales per day, we see a general trend line going up, and this is not normal based on the seasonality of real estate. Normally, when we're moving from a summer market into a fall market, it does slightly decrease on the sales volume, whereas right now it is slightly increasing, which indicates that we have a continued momentum of pent-up demand right now in the Calgary real estate market. And if we look at weekly sales versus 2019, you can see that we are having much stronger sales than last year in this period of time. But it's important to note that each property type is being affected differently. And that's the detached, apartment, row townhouse, and semi-detached property types. The two winners in sales that are beating last year are detached by an increase of 5.8% and also row townhouses by 11%. The two property types that are not performing as well versus last year are apartments, which declined by 20%, and also the semi-detached, which declined by 12.4%. If you want to deep dive into the stats and analyses for a specific property type, I'm going to leave a link below where we're going to send it to you. And it's important to note that a custom tailored solution is needed to be able to make an informed decision based on your situation. So let us know if you have any questions. As you know, one of the biggest leading indicators of real estate sales volume is the number of showings booked. And we have this graph here where the blue line represents last year and the orange line is this year. And you can see at the end there, right now, we are actually 145% higher than we were last year in the number of showings booked. This indicates that we're likely going to continue to outpace the year-over-year sales versus 2019, which bodes very well for the overall health of our Calgary real estate market heading into the fall and winter months. Now let's talk about inventory, which represents the supply side of the equation. If we look at number of new listings per day, you can see the general trend line is about flat and also slightly decreasing, which is what we would expect going into a fall market. And if we look at weekly new listings versus 2019, we can see that most of the month is under zero, which means that we're listing less new properties onto the market versus last year. Both of these graphs are definitely positive news for the overall health of our market. And if we look at the total inventory picture, we're sitting at about 10% less than this time last year in terms of total number of listings on the market, which represents about 6,100 listings right now. And that means that we had about 610 less listings than we did last year. And if we break down the different property types, you'll see that these are all vastly different. With the detached market, we're seeing about 6.5% less new listings this month and 15% less in total inventory. For apartments, we're seeing 12.5% decrease in the number of new listings this month. As well, the total inventory is pretty much the same as this time last year. For row townhouses, we got 2% increase in the number of new listings and a 3% increase in total inventory, while semi-detached homes were 26% less in new listings and 23% less in total inventory. Now that you understand the sales and inventory story, how has it affected pricing? If we were to take a broad stroke across all property types for Calgary, I would say that the pricing has stayed relatively flat, with the only gain in year-over-year pricing in the detached market of 0.85% and the biggest loser in the row townhouses being minus 8.37%. We need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and put things into context. Looking at Alberta and Calgary, we've had a much more challenging economic situation and pressures with our GDP representing 25% in oil and gas. Being able to create a supply and demand equation which keeps keeps our price relatively flat at this time indicates that we're able to gain a little bit of relative stability, which is a small win in our books. Now look at this sales to new listing ratio per day graph, and as you can see, throughout the month until the end of the month, it has been steadily increasing. Till the last week of August, we're seeing an average of about 70%, which is indicative of a very healthy market. The proof is in the stats of days on market, where versus this time last year, it has actually decreased by 11%. So make sure that you're intentional and you make decisive action when you decide to buy a property. Advice for sellers: if you're looking to sell your home right now in this market, look at what I said about the uptick in sales volume or demand, and also the lower amount of total inventory and new listings or supply. And with this flat pricing that we're having right now, it's very important that you price your property very fairly, because you want to capture the higher amount of showing requests, which is 145% higher than last year this time. So you want to capture the attention of those people. And if you do, you'll have a very good chance at selling your home. So it's not the market right now to test it or to be greedy in terms of price. Advice for investors: right now there are two segments that are hurting in the market. One is the apartment segment, which sales volume is down more than 20% from last year, as well as still 1,700 or so active listings on the market today. Of these listings, there are several sellers that are going to want to sell off their properties, even at a discounted rate. So if you're able to pick one up for a great price, just know that your investment into this apartment is going to be a buy and hold longer term strategy. Another segment that's hurting right now is the row townhouses. And because this year the prices have significantly been adjusted downwards, your price of acquisition is much lower and you may be able to see some better cash flow, but it still is a buy and hold strategy as well. But if your main investment goal is to maximize cash flow, then there are two options that are very good right now. One is we have an exclusive deal with a builder that's going to offer a new home warranty, and it's a turnkey property investment, as well as offering an incentive with free property management that's turning over about 6% capitalization rate, which is huge. If you want to know more about that, click the link below and send us an email and we'll send you more details on that. The second option to gain better cash flow as well is taking a property that has an illegal basement suite and then legalizing it and putting it back on the rental market. Now this does take some cash investments, but we just made a video on it, so make sure you legalize your basement suite before December 31st, 2021, because it's going to save you on costs for the application, as well as only needing to build up to fire code, whereas after that you're going to need to do it up to building code, which is going to be a much higher initial cash investment. So this wraps up our Calgary real estate market update for September 2020. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. My name is Jasmine Lai with the LiveInnerCity real estate team, helping you keep real estate simple. See you next time.